Alright guys, how we doing today? Hopefully we're doing good. Appreciate you stopping by to check out another one of my videos. This one, I'm geared towards, you see, AR-15 lowers. I got a few out to maybe give you a little bit of a buyer's guide or something to look for. Maybe, you know, you're hitting your local gun shop today or next week or whenever, or maybe there's a big gun show coming up and you're wanting to get into an AR-15. Maybe you're like, you know, every gun I've got, I don't own a full factory gun. Every gun I've got basically is a parts gun, for lack of better terms, because there's certain qualities I want. And basically the best way to get that without wasting a lot of money is to start out with a raw product and build it from there. Several of these started out as stripped lowers. Right now I don't have a stripped lower to show you. Might do a video on that coming up on the next one I get. So definitely be waiting on it. But maybe you know, like say hitting a gun show or your local gun shop and you're kind of new to it or whatever, and you don't know what exactly to look for to get the best bang for your buck, or you know what's going to work the best. So like I said, got a few out and let's talk about it. Right here, let's start right here. This is one of my favorite lowers. This is one of the ones that gets the most use. This is a company you may be familiar with. See the little spider there? Spikes Tactical out of Apopka, Florida. I don't think I've ever tried to say that before. This is one I did buy complete as a complete lower. As you can see, this one sports the Magpul Mag grip, which is another cool thing about these guns. They're pretty much plug and play. Every part can be changed for something else. And you also see Spikes is kind of known for coloring their selector locations. They have a safe, semi, and they also do mark a full auto position, but of course the selector won't go there unless you got some broke parts. I have been asked, believe it or not, if you're looking for something for people to kind of take a step back and look at it, I have been asked a few times about that. Hey, is that a machine gun? No, just because I work at a gun store don't mean I own a machine gun. I don't make that much money. But anyways, regular old 6-position collapsible stock on this. One thing I do like about Spikes is their buffer tubes, and there are quite a few out there, are actually numbered between, let's see if I can see that little 3 right there, and then a 2 and a 1. I know it's upside down, but it's actually numbered for the positions. It kind of helps you. I mean, really it serves no real purpose, but it may help you get to your stock position a little quicker if you're looking at it. And what you'll see is a normal mil-spec parts kit. Might do a video on how to put one of these together. It's very simple, and I promise it kind of gives you a unique feeling if you ever put one together on your own. But I'll probably put a few hundred rounds through this receiver. Now I think Spikes does some real good work for the money. I mean, you can get a stripped lower. Right now the going rate seems to be around 150 or so for Spikes, but you can find them a little less expensive and a little more expensive. And a complete one's probably going to run you about 300 or 350 depending on where you're able to find it. But right now, real tough to get. But right here, right away, let's say I walked up gun show or gun shop and this was their selection. The first thing I always do if I'm looking at, let's just say a complete lower, the first thing I do is from home, I bring magazines. Bring a magazine, pop that up in the mag well, make sure that everything seems to kind of fit well, make sure they drop free, and you got good action on the button. Of course, you can adjust how much that button works by adjusting the button. Some people know that. A very small amount of adjustment though, let's keep that in mind. But I definitely always take a standard like aluminum mag, which everybody has a ton of these. And then the world's most popular magazine, a Magpul P-Mag. Because as you'll see here in a second, sometimes receivers can be a little picky on magazines, but it does drop free on this one. That's something a lot of people forget. If you don't have any magazines, if you're at a gun shop or something like that, ask, you know, hey, can I see a P-Mag and a standard GI mag? And hopefully the guys will be happy to oblige and help you with that. You know, you always want to make sure you got a good fit on your mag well. Also, another thing to look at is we want to make sure that our trigger components are fit correctly. So first thing we want to do, safety off. Take your thumb. It's very important. You will beat up an AR receiver if you don't. take your thumb, capture that hammer, and then very slowly pull the trigger. See how the trigger feels. Make sure it releases at kind of the correct point. After it releases, you can let it relax against the frame. Hold the trigger to the rear just like you're shooting a reset. Push that hammer all the way down. You'll hear that click. That's when the disconnector engages. Then very, very slowly let out the trigger until it resets, making sure that everything is working correctly there. And then go ahead and, if you want, remove your finger from the trigger and then pull it again. Make sure, just basically what you want to do is make sure that you get those 3 clicks where it resets and fires. And just like if you're shooting a reset. If it doesn't act correctly there, you may have some disconnect fitting issues. Unless you're a qualified gunsmith, I'd say maybe buy a different receiver if there's another one there. Unless you're comfortable with it, or bring it to their attention, maybe they'll fix it. But you know, usually guys at gun shops, I know this from experience, walk around and play with these a little bit. They usually catch that kind of stuff before it gets to the customer. So odds are they probably know it's like that and just put it on the shelf. So Spike's Tactical, great company, done a lot of work with them. Standard 6-position complete receiver here with a standard mil-spec parts group. Another thing that Spike's does that a lot of people don't know about that I think is cool is if you've ever put one of these together, you know that rear receiver pin here, one very, very aggravating thing is trying to keep, there's a spring that basically runs in here that holds a very, very small detent. And one of the more aggravating things is trying to get all that lined up while you put your receiver end plate on. Spikes actually has a threaded basically screw that screws in that hole and holds everything in place. So when you remove your receiver extension nut and you pull your receiver end plate back, that stuff doesn't fly out. You still have to watch the one in here though, your buffer retainer. So keep that in mind. Set that down. Over here, a little different bad boy. Rock River Arms. You may have heard of them. Really love their stuff. This particular one is outfitted with an ergo grip, and basically the same exact thing. You'll find that the receivers are basically the same. They're all forged or machined in the same way depending on which one you get. It really is important because this lower receiver fits very, very tightly against about every upper I've ever put it up with, whereas the Spikes is more where you can push it in and out push the receiver pins in and out with your thumbs. This one, usually when it's on the upper, you have to take a hammer to it or punch and really hit it. But the reason I got this one out is because this one has a Rock River 2-stage national match trigger. What's cool about that is same trick as we learned a second ago. When we pull that trigger, see how the hammer looks completely different. See how that one has that big hook? This one has that little skinny, basically flat. This one over here, that's the sign of a 2-stage trigger. Basically, it's the easy way to spot them. And what a 2-stage trigger does versus a mil-spec trigger is same exact disconnect operation, but you'll have a little bit of play. But once you get to the end of that play, it's usually very, very crisp. Versus like a mil-spec trigger, you're basically pulling that metal across until it breaks. This one has a little play in right there. Just snapped it, and as I just told you not to do. But I'm the king of that kind of stuff. And it's also one of my, it's actually the very first AR-15 lower I ever owned, so it's had the crap beat out of it. But still runs great. Same thing, you know, if you're going to buy it, take a couple magazines. Make sure the magazine's operating it well and perfectly in this one. But same thing with the 6-position stock. This one, like I said, has the Rock River parts kit in it. This one I bought complete as a Rock River. But do like that 2-stage trigger. You might get spoiled to that if you shoot it a lot. And then right here's a Smith & Wesson one. One of the first ones I put together by myself. I can't remember which number it is, but I put together a bunch in a row. But Smith & Wesson M&P 15. This started out as a stripped lower. Has a DPMS Panther parts kit in it, which I'm not a huge fan of DPMS, but I will say their parts kits come out of the box usually require no fitting or very little, if any, like I said. So that's always cool if you can pull the part straight out of the box and have your good positive disconnector action like you want. And 6-position stock, honest to God buffer tube, and basically everything else other than the receiver and the parts kit came out of a junk bin. But still runs beautifully. It's basically stuff that people brought in, and I don't even want it anymore. I got my new stock, I got my new cast nut, whatever. I got a single point sling adapter. I don't want that stuff anymore. Don't throw it away, keep it, because I basically put this lower together using the spare parts, and it works great. I mean, I probably put a few hundred rounds through this one also with no problems, and for basically a mixed parts lower, it's awesome. Coming over here, another brand that I've dealt with a little bit. This is a CMMG lower, so the Mark IV, and basically same thing here, just basic CMMG parts kit. There's that good positive engagement on the disconnect. And definitely want to taste try your magazines in it. But another company I really like, and then over here is one that looks a little funny. What's this tube? That's a pistol buffer tube. I bought this one. It's another Spikes Tactical, the Buccaneer or whatever they call it, lower. But it's I bought it as a strip lower. Once again, DPMS parts kit. For a time there, that's all we could get. But I did put a pistol buffer tube on this one with the intention of building an AR pistol. And since a lot of you may know, I'm going through that future married man syndrome right now. There's no upper on this one because I haven't found the right deal on it yet. But same basic thing, as we saw on the other one, the selector notches are marked, and this one's painted all over. Jolly Roger is what they call this. I'm sorry. This is the Jolly Roger, but this is a future AR-15 pistol, which, don't worry, there is a video coming on that very soon. But just as a sample, maybe answering some of the questions, teaching you some tricks, or maybe something to look for that you hadn't thought about. This video has already gotten longer than I wanted to. The Smith & Wesson one, the reason I was talking about magazines, actually it works great with these two, but I do have some aluminum magazines that it does seem to be picky over. I think it's maybe just the magazine release or mag catch has a burr on it that hasn't wore off yet. So I believe it's more just the new parts versus the magazines in general. But like I said, hopefully got you some information if you're wanting to go to a gun show, or like say local gun shop and pick up a complete or strip lower. I mean, strip lower is a little harder because you don't have a lot of the parts in it to tell if it fits or not. But if you're looking at complete lowers or whatever, maybe this is some tips and tricks you didn't know about, or some things you didn't think about, or maybe even some companies you never heard of. You'd be surprised how many people haven't heard of Spikes Tactical or even CMMG. They build excellent stuff also. But like I said, hopefully answer some questions, maybe give some good advice. If you have any questions past this, please comment down below. Give thumbs up, likes are appreciated on video, favorite the video. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Check out my infant style website. You'll find a link for it down in the description. And appreciate you watching. Go check out some other videos I've worked hard on. Go to my channel page and you'll find another link to a website, all the other videos, and also in the of course on the top right side, my a link to my Facebook account. I just started a Facebook account. I'm really hoping to get some more followers in that. But thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you putting up with me.